crazy. But at the beginning of that little clip there, did you see the handball court, right? That on the handball court it said Lee, the one with the Howard the Duck. It said Lee. This was a famous mural. Charlie Ahearn wanted to know who Lee was. He asked the locals, "Yo, who's Lee?" He asked who did that. They was like, "Oh, that's Lee." He was like, "Where is he? He'd be around." So when he met Lee, Lee came to on his motorbike and all that. He wasn't no tough guy, skinny Puerto Rican kid, right? But he came through on his motorbike. Ahearn runs down on him, "Hey man, I want to do a movie with you." But Lee is he's a true artist into what he does. And he's not rude, but he's kind of like blowing him off at the same time. He's like, "Yeah, all right. That's cool. We might be able to do something." And then he would, he said, "You have a phone number?" And he says, "Nah." He said, "How am I going to find you?" He said, "I'll be around." And then he was just never around. He was never around. Right? So here we see Lee, Puerto Rican graffiti artist. Lee Quinones. In the search for Lee. Will he find Lee? Well, let's see. Around this same time, remember, I said this is the perfect storm. You got another cat from Brooklyn, Frederick Bathwaite, a.k.a. Fab Five Freddy, who just so happens to be the grandson of the famous and legendary drummer Max Roach. Right? He's also a graffiti artist. Fab Five Freddy, who's also, ironically, and unrelated to Ahearn, searching for Lee Quinones. He's searching for Lee Quinones. Everyone's searching for this dude. Fab Five Freddy in 1978 goes to Lee Quinones' high school. And he walks in, and as people, the staff is asking him to leave, he just whispers something to Quinones real quick, like, "Yo, meet me outside at the benches." Quinones meets him, and they like that bond, that magic happens. Because Fab Five Freddy is the magic, man. He is the magic. We're underestimating a few people in hip-hop. And I'm going to let you know right now, we're definitely not mentioning Fab Five Freddy enough. I know Fab Five Freddy from Yo MTV Raps. And I actually just thought it was just like, I'm not going to lie, I apologize, Fab Five Freddy. I thought you was just like somebody that was given a job. What do I know? Because no history was told. No history was told to me. I didn't understand how much work you had put in these streets. And not no criminal streets. I didn't understand how much work you had put in on both sides. The tales of two cities, right? The affluent side and the poverty-stricken side. Guess who was on both sides? Guess who was able to traverse through both sides of the upper echelon socialites of pop culture and come to the hood and deal with the urban knighted kings in the ghettos? Fab Five Freddy. But here's the thing, Lee Quinones wasn't about that whole like life of being popular and all that. He wasn't with it. So even though they became partners, he allowed Fab Five Freddy to be the face of whatever they had going on. Right? He said, "I don't know what we got going on, but you can be the face, because this ain't for me." Fab Five Freddy was a natural marketer, and he's a marketing genius. So what happened was, as he's making all these relationships, he actually reaches out to another journalist called Glenn O'Brien. And Glenn O'Brien kind of takes Fab Five Freddy under the wing. Don't ask me how. I have no idea how he's meeting all these people, why they're giving him a chance. But if you could, Fab Five Freddy's charismatic. He's mysterious. He got on the shades, the brim hat. Like, we don't know what's going on. But there's something there that makes me say, okay. And he's really into art. Not just like graffiti art. Fab Five Freddy, he was a street artist. And probably, I'm not going to take that title away from him. But he was more than that, because he would actually go down to the galleries, the Metropolitan Museum, and actually study famous artists and understand art. So he was able to talk that talk. And I think that, in my opinion, some of these people recognize that he's just not no street chump out here looking to mug me or con me or something like that. Like, he's really into this. And he has a segue into this new energy called, like, whatever's going on. These people are rapping, people are dancing on the street, and graffiti's all over the place. Well, Glenn O'Brien tells Fab Five Freddy and Lee Quinones, you guys need marketing. Like, you need publicity. You need to get out there. And he calls his friend Howard Smith, who works for the Village Voice. And Howard Smith does a piece on Lee Quinones and Fab Five Freddy. But what happens is, even though they're partners, like I told you, Lee Quinones was like, yo, I don't want my picture taken. Fab Five Freddy takes the picture in the article with his number underneath, and he's basically promoting the fact that him and his crew, him and his boy, will do murals for $5 a foot. And guess what? Someone calls. Sometimes all you got to do is take a chance, baby. Take a chance on yourself. You understand? Take a chance on yourself. Claudio Bruni of Italy sees the article and calls Fab Five Freddy. And as he is requesting pieces of work here, pieces of work there, he suggests that their work would go over well in his art gallery in Rome. What? He's like, yeah, come on out. So by the end of 1979, Fab Five Freddy is not only in articles in the Village Voice getting known for this graffiti thing, but he's also doing shows in Milan. His work is in Italy. Oh, he just crossed over, baby. He just crossed over something crazy and stupid. Right? Now, when he gets back, it's not over. Thought it was over? No. We still got the perfect storm happening. The perfect storm is still happening, right? Now, all of this is happening, and this is just Fab Five Freddy. This has nothing to do with DJ Kool Herc, his relationships. This has nothing to do with Bambaataa and whatever other relationships he's building with other people and what other energy he's putting out there. There's nothing to do with Grandmaster Flash or Grandmaster Kaz. Like, there's so many different people. It's nothing to do with Crazy Legs. We're only talking about one person right now. So when you put all of their stories together, I think hip hop could have been stopped? No way. No way. So, I want to shed some light on a journalist named Richard Goldstein. Richard Goldstein wrote a piece called The Fire Down Below. In 1973, there may have been a few hundred ghetto kids writing in a few definable styles. Now thousands call themselves writers. They come from every social stratum and range in age from 9 to 25. Their signatures, called tags, have transformed the subway into what the Time calls some god-awful forest. And now that the perpetrators have moved above ground, trucks and elevators, monuments and vacant walls look as if they have suddenly sprouted vines. He wrote that in the article. So now how many are... I'm sorry, I'm losing count of how many journalists are really starting to really trying to cover this story. In this one video alone, I think I count 3 journalists, from the New York Post to the Village Voice, that want to cover hip-hop, these stories, right? So Richard Goldstein actually catches up with Fab Five Freddy, and he also is able to build a relationship with Fab Five Freddy. Now, what I would like to say, it has nothing to do with nothing, but does it at the same time. I'm going to say this. Richard Goldstein is a strong supporter for the LGBTQ community, and there were many people that we're going to see in this that Fab Five Freddy built relationships with that had alternative and homosexual lifestyles. One of the things, though, it wasn't considered taboo. Like, if these guys were hanging out with homosexual or artists that were homosexual, I don't think it was like, oh, I'm not going to hang out with him because he's a known homosexual. I believe there was some people that were hanging out with just cool people. They didn't consider them. They did not consider them homosexual first and the artist second. Is what I'm saying. They did not look at it like that. If they looked at that at all, they seen them for who they were and said, you know what, I like what you're doing, bro, and we can combine energies on this. And I think a lot of that was happening. But a lot of I don't want to be naive. I wasn't there, but was a lot of homosexual energy in the building? I don't know. You would have to continue to watch. I don't know. Make up your own assessment of things. Now that Fab Five Freddy is starting to become known, your boy's out here hanging out in these streets, baby. Huh? On the art scene. He's out here. Now, this is up top left. As we can see, Jean-Michel Basquiat hanging out with Glenn O'Brien. I did not hear any type of that Glenn O'Brien was homosexual, right? Does he give me a homosexual vibe in this particular picture? Yes, he does. I'm not going to lie to you. Debbie Harris. Here you can see Fab Five Freddy hanging out with Debbie, Harry, and Christine of Blondie, the musical group. Okay. Here we have Fab Five Freddy up top hanging out with Keith Haring. We definitely know Keith was a homosexual artist, right? And then down here we have him in a picture with the shades off with Jean-Michel Basquiat. These are the elites. Fab Five Freddy decided to be a mentor to another artist called Ramel Z. You can see him here. Shout out to Ramel Z. This picture, by the way, is so dope. It's so dope. Understand? I like it. You see Fab Five Freddy down here hanging out with Grace Jones. Keith Haring again. Madonna.